So I wanted to ask you some questions related to the guitar in terms of guitar schools. And, Tisziji clearly represents some sort of school of playing, hard maybe to define, but let's talk about some of the others. For example, Wes Montgomery.
Yeah.
And what comments can you offer in terms of his school of music or what he contributed to the language?
Very special cat, had a unique, at the time, unique slant on the guitar. I'd describe his playing, I would say swinging, soulful, kind of a clean sound, a very pretty sound. I used to see him all the time with Wynton Kelly and Paul Chambers, Jimmy Cobb, peeps like that. Very happy music. And definitely influenced a lot of people. No question about it. He was one that I really loved a lot. Grant Green, maybe even more so for me. Less notes, but make one note and do it. And I also love all the blues guitar players, B.B. King and Albert Collins and all these kind of guys like that. And then, the more gentle players in a way, Jim Hall, I had the opportunity to play with him. He's one of the exquisite guitar players, very focused cat, very, instant 100% concentration and really listen. And there's a certain delicacy in his guitar playing, space, beautiful chordal thing. I got to play with some of the newer great cats, Pat Metheny and Mick Goodrick and John Scofield, and each one has made a contribution. Larry Coryell, please let me not forget the great Larry Coryell, and I got to play with him when he was young and wild and crazy. He's still a great
Let's
guitar
take
player.
Larry Coryell. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
As an example, and compare his playing to Tisziji. Can you compare or contrast?
Oh, sure. Well, Tisziji doesn't really relate to any of the guitar players. Coryell is unique in his way. He's really one of the widest guitar players. When I say wide, I mean he is a great rock blues guitar player, can sing, great jazz player. When he's playing the straight ahead stuff, he's very comparable to Wes Montgomery level. He was one of the first cats I heard to play free, kind of in the way that like Sonny Chirac, there's another influential guy. I used to hear him play. Coryell was doing that. He was doing the feedback, humping the guitar amp stuff before I heard Hendrix. So really very few guitar players who could do that rock thing and the beautiful jazz thing. Now there may be more who could do that, but back in those days, very unusual. There's someone who was that good. And Coryell is just extremely gifted cat, there's no doubt. But I mean, his music is still like just way conservative compared to Tisziji, and again more rooted to the past and the culture. That's what's different about Tisziji. There's also a quality in Tisziji playing that's, let's say, for lack of anyone else to compare it to, is closer to a Coltrane or a Pharoah Sanders kind of quality, which is this totally spirit first. That's the key, rather than music first. See, with all these guys, I think the music is the main thing, and they're great. Coryell is particularly great, but with Tisziji, it's clear the spirit is first. On the other hand, even guitaristically, and I'm at a loss to how to explain this, because I saw Larry Coryell recently. In fact, you came with me, right? We saw him. He sounded great. He was playing with Jimmy Cobb and Joey DeFrancesca, and he's a very fleet guitar player. Technically accomplished guitar player. Still, I heard Tisziji doing stuff that's like, it seemed to me like faster, no patterns. Which, with the little I know about the guitar, is harder, physically, technically harder. I have no idea how he does it, because we know he doesn't even play the guitar much at all, a few times a year. And he's not doing this all the time like these guys, the fanatic musician guys do. And yet, even technically, I haven't heard anybody, beyond him. But to me, that's the least important part of it. But it's kind of astounding. And also, guitar, as far as I understand it, is an instrument that does lend itself to licks and patterns, things that fall under the finger. It's a hard instrument. It's not easy to play. They're easier to play, like, let's say, new patterns on a piano, and you can jump intervals on a piano. Well, guitar is much more difficult, I think, technically, physically. And so it makes it even more miraculous with Tisziji. I don't hear any patterns. I have no repetitions of line, no licks. And I will say this is a blues quality that's also, that you find in Coryell has it strong, and all these guys I mentioned have it strong. Kenny Burrell, that's another great guitar, really beautiful guitar. But Tisziji has that blues quality too, but without any of the blues licks or blues cliches. Not there's anything wrong with the blues licks or cliches, but it's just that much more miraculous. It's unexplainable. It's inexplicable, unexplainable.
So can you talk about any of these great guitarists in terms of, let's say, their spiritual depth, and contrast or compare that with Tisziji?
Well, in that case, on that level, there is no comparison. Pretty much all the people that we talked about that I know, I didn't know Wes Montgomery that well, but he seemed like a really sweet cat. I took my mom to see Wes Montgomery, and he hit on my mom, which was funny. And my mom was very flattered. She dug it, actually. She wasn't offended or anything. But he seemed like a sweet cat. But some of the other ones that I mentioned, Coryell, of course, and Matheny, and Schofield, and Mick Goodrick and stuff.
How about someone like John McLaughlin, who had his, guru and a spiritual direction that he known
well,
for?
maybe John might have a little more of that flavor in his music than most of the other guitar players that we mentioned. But nothing like Tiziji's vibe. And the little bit that I know John, and I like him, I got along with him and stuff, he's still a pretty materialistic cat, living in Monaco and driving fancy cars and always having super fine girlfriends and wives and stuff, big ladies man and such like that, and making a lot of money, which again, nothing against any of that, but this is not, as you know, this is not Tisziji plays. And when it comes down to the music, when I hear John McLaughlin, he sounds great, but very safe, very conservative. And in a certain level, I have to say, fear-based. This is what I don't hear in Tisziji, is fearless. I don't care if anybody likes it, if they understand it, it's no, hey, I'm not gonna hold me back. We gotta do what we have to do, it's a mission. And it's unwavering. There's no nods to commercialism. There's nothing like that. But John McLaughlin, one of the truly great guitar players. And I would say, there's definitely a certain. I don't know him that well, but I would describe him as maybe as a spiritual Stryver. When I don't, someone looking. Searching on the path, hopefully still on the path. I haven't seen him in years, but if he stayed true to his thing, then he's still on the path. But with Tisziji, it's done, man. It's not striving, it's not searching, and the sound psychically of Tiszyi's playing is like it's there. I feel the same about Coltrane. I hear Coltrane's playing. I hear psychically the sound of striving, reaching. Trying to get to a higher level, to a deeper level through music. When I hear Tisziji, I hear it already there from the first note. And always has been, because I've been hearing Tisziji for over 30 years. That quality of it's already there. And yet every performance is completely different. But that feeling of the process is done, no striving, no searching, it's here. That I don't hear that in anybody. That's because that's not a Stryver, that's a master, that's a difference.
So one of the, like you were just touching upon the lifestyles of John McLaughlin and presumably many other musicians. Can you talk about Tiszyi's lifestyle in terms of more or less a monk-like existence? Is that a real thing? Is that something that...
Oh, it's 100% real. I've known kept for like 40 years pretty much, or close to it. And it's always been like that. And I know for a fact that there was offers and temptations and along the way, and people say, hey, join my band, and beautiful women say, hey, be my guru, I'm gonna buy you a mansion, you can have your own recording studio, da 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 da, here's a nice car. Always turned it down, resisted. And with women too, to be, I know he's been saving seed for a long, long time. Very few musicians do that. No drugs, no getting high, none of that, not needing to. Again, very few musicians are able to, myself included, to have been that pure and maintain it. This is true monkhood, austerity, discipline, the most disciplined human I've ever met, and no disconnect or say gap between his word and his playing. Because a lot of these great players, you hear the music and the music is smoking, but then you sit and talk with them and they're nice average people, normal people, no great wisdom or not every word perfect dharma. Well-intentioned in many cases. Sometimes some wisdom comes out. I hope so, that they have some wisdom, but Bapu is every word is perfect dharma. This has been the case year in, year out. And I find no difference between the quality of his playing and the quality of his speech. And I've been just as moved and uplifted, all the good things that we hope we get from music, healed, uplifted, bowled over, from just sitting quietly talking after a gig. There's been times when we played a gig and the music went, man, all over the universe and went to places you can't even imagine, and we just fully released and got a thing. And he's sitting in a room just talking quietly, and I had the same exact feeling. It's almost like I didn't need to play any of those notes, didn't need to play the music. Just sitting with him is the same intensity, the same peacefulness, the same quality of full silence, or however you want to describe it, and there's no gap. And this is very important because most of the musicians, there's a gap between their word and how they live and how they play. It's not all equal.
So he would sound from this conversation to be a very serious person, but we know that's not true. Can you discuss his humor and its impact on you as a musician and a student?
Oh yeah, I haven't hung with that many other gurus, but I would guess he's got to be the funniest guru of all time. He's hilarious, and we know this, and that's the other thing too that I think different people will resonate with different teachers, and if they even feel the need for a teacher or for a guru and such. But for me, there's no doubt about it. Tisziji is a street, and basically all the things that most of us have done or tried, musicians, lifestyle thing, he's experienced it, been around it, and grew up culture, Puerto Rican, New York, Brooklyn, all kinds of stuff, gang stuff, violence, drugs, women, any of it, all of it. So it's a good guru for a musician to have, because he can speak to what you actually have gone through. I was on a plane one time with a guy that I felt had that kind of vibe. He was one of these Rinpoche cats. He was a Tibetan, and he had a little entourage around him, and he definitely had a vibe. I mean, and he didn't say anything to me, he just smiled at me. And when he smiled at me, it was like the sun came out. I said, oh, this guy, and I didn't, yeah, thank you. I recognized him. He had that quality in a way. But then I'm thinking, his lifestyle, he's probably one of those guys from age 4 was meditating, or was sent to a temple or a monastery. He's hanging with his people, speaking Tibetan, doing the prayers and stuff. What kind of conversation could I really have with this guy? And what would he know about my life, really? Besides the fact his smile was very nourishing. It was a beautiful thing. I felt fortunate to be on the same plane with him. But Tisziji is very different because, He's coming from the street. He's coming, you know, he's all the stuff that would be a life experience of musicians and people like that. He knows it well, inside out, and has transcended it.
Do you
so
find
it's a perfect guru for me, and for, I would say, for probably for musicians if they feel a need for a guru.
Do you find an element of humor in his music as well?
Yeah, I mean, I find myself laughing out loud sometimes when I listen to the music, but not in the way that you'd laugh to a comedian. It's more like you'd laugh when you see like a meteor shower or like thunder light up the sky, and you just start laughing hysterically because it's just so powerful. And also, I find that this, let's say, perfection, but no logic, no mind. That's funny. That's funny because when you get beyond the mental process, it's really funny. And the other thing I find, the music as well as the speaking is full of surprises. You know, here's a person I've been around for a long time, and I've heard him speak a lot, and I have no idea what he's going to say about anything, man. Not a clue. I can't predict anything, and that's the same in the music. And how many people can you say that about? So that's funny in itself, because you don't know what's going to come out of this dude's mouth. It's always been perfect, though, impeccable, but hilarious and unique, and not necessarily coming from a logic or sequential, let's say, rational mind. I think, in fact, some of the things that he says and as well as plays is almost specifically designed to knock you off of your axis, in a sense, of, or your tether, your gravitational tie to pattern thinking. A equals B, you know, you know, 2 and 2 equals 4. This follows that. Boom. You hit me, I hit you back. Whatever the reactive stuff, all these patterns, mechanical patterns. So in a way, I think with Tisziji, the music and the word sometimes is very much a conscious effect to. It's almost like taking your head off, pulling it off your neck, ripping it off, dumping out everything that was already in there, and then putting it back on backwards. You know, kind of like that. So that's kind of funny. Well, that could be funny.
So that humor ties to another quality, which is his genius. And could you compare and contrast Tishiji's genius with the genius of any of these great musicians?
Totally different kind of genius, yeah. Because this is more like we're talking about mental genius and genius of memory, of how much you can memorize and how much you can absorb. This is what constitutes most genius. Now, there are other people who would be considered geniuses who are, you know, great innovators, you know, whether it's, you know, Picasso or Frank Lloyd Wright. This is another kind of genius. Visionaries, you know. Tisziji, there's no attachment in it. Maybe that's the quality that's different. It's, you know, and it's gone. It's gone. It's. I would say too. It's more native. It's more shamanistic in a way. It's not like a Western European kind of genius. Nothing wrong with that, but this is a different kind of more shamanistic, I would say, and non-stop too. Because I don't know. I never hung out with Picasso or Frank Lloyd Wright, but I'm guessing that they probably weren't a genius all the time. You know, when they had their vision to do this building or this painting, but other time they might have been just a normal asshole. With Tisziji, it's not like that, man. It's 100% all the time. It doesn't matter if he's playing music or doing anything that we would recognize as art, you know.
So talk about, let's see, the depth of the genius, or the source of that genius.
You know, I have the feeling that when I hear Tisziji speak, when I hear Tisziji play, it's it's like hearing God speak. That's how it sounds like to me, or spirit speak. It's like direct. You're hearing spirit speaking through the voice of a human. And when you think too, there's a Puerto Rican, you know, that God or spirit would choose his cat. That's funny in itself. That's hilarious, because you know you wouldn't think it. You wouldn't think it. Not that there's any particular, you know, that spirit can't come from anywhere. Obviously, it can come through anybody. But that's the difference. It's not human mind. It's not. It's like it's brilliant, but it's not human mind. And when you read the writings, each word is crucial and impeccable. Can't be changed. Has to be that word. And I've learned from the little bit of writing that I do, and Tisziji will make one suggestion to that word. No, it should be this, and it changes the whole meaning in such profound ways. So, understanding of language to that degree, naturally, without reworking it, just boom, right off the top. That's an incredible kind of genius, but at the same time, it's not really mental. I'd say it's more like a channel. And, you know, where it comes from, you know, as I say, it's direct. That's all, you know, it's like, I think one time I was trying to describe what it was like to play with Tisziji. And I think I said something, it's not like looking at a rainbow, it's like being the rainbow. It's not like looking at the sun, it's like being the sun. Thank you. That was fun. Love always. Phew.